It is the question that virtually every retiree has. Is it better to claim your Social Security benefits early or wait? And it's a really hard question to answer, in part because everybody's situation can be drastically different, but also because of the serious downsides of outliving your income. Dwight Rich with Rich Wealth Management is here to answer all those questions and more. Great to have you here again.
Thank you very much for having me.
So what are some of the main problems when it comes to Social Security? It can be tricky with people deciding when to claim that.
Sure. Well, I think one of the main problems is people need to recognize how big of a number it is for a lot of folks. You know, the average person gets about $1,900 in a benefit. And so if they're married over their lifetime and they live a normal life, that's about a $750,000 benefit.
Gosh, yeah.
And if you're middle or upper middle income type of a person, that might be 2 or 3 or even 4 million or above. So it's a big decision. So, but a lot of people get that decision wrong because they're not really that well informed, and the Social Security Administration makes it difficult because they can't give advice.
Can't undo it, right?
That's right.
What are they specifically getting wrong?
The claiming decision is the number one thing, is when they claim. I think about a third of Americans claim at 62, which is the earliest that you can claim it, and that reduces your benefit by about 25%.
Wow.
Versus
that's a lot.
for sure, and it affects your benefit for your spouse as well if you pass.
And then when should someone really start thinking about that Social Security benefit in retiring? Should they do it that early, or I guess they should start thinking about it well before, obviously, because it could take a minute to get through all that paperwork.
Sure. Well, I think 62 is the minimum claiming age unless you're disabled, so they really need to think about it then. But certainly by the time they reach full retirement age, which is 66 or 67, depending on when you're born,
go ahead and do it.
They need to get really down and dirty and understand exactly the specifics and do some analysis.
What if somebody wants to continue working and getting a small income in some way up until they're 65 and then after they're 65?
Well, you can if you claim your Social Security early and you're still working, 62, 65, you can, of course, you're going to be taxed on it, but also you get a penalty. So it's pretty draconian too. At 22,000-ish, they start to take $1 for every $2 you make above 22,000.
Wow.
And so they'll take that away from your Social Security benefit, but they don't do partial payments. So you'll end up getting no check,
right,
and then they'll pay you back at your full retirement age, but over your whole life expectancy, which is about 15 or 16 years.
So what do you recommend people do in that situation? Only work to make this much? Is there an X amount that you tell people don't go over? I know some people that'll say, I can only go back to work and make this much.
You could do that.
Why are you holding fast and firm to that number? Because of this.
You could do that. I mean, it depends on your situation, of course. Now, the year that you turn full retirement age, it's not as draconian. They take $1 for every $3 over something around $60,000.
Right.
But you just have to look at your individual situation and see what makes sense. But understand that all of a sudden that check is going to go away if you're making over that $22,000 and you're not in full retirement age.
So once you're drawing that Social Security, do you have to pay taxes on that?
You do. Only up to well, it didn't used to be that way a long time. They changed the law many times, but in the 80s they made it taxable up to 85%. And it's calculated in a kind of a three-part way. But yes, you will. Most people end up paying taxes on their Social Security unless they have a really low income.
Yeah. So what do you recommend people begin, when should they start thinking about this, at what age, and then what do they need to bring in to you to help guide them through that decision?
I think when you're approaching 60 and you're looking at retirement, if you're within 5 or 10 years of retirement and you're claiming your Social Security benefits, you really need to start looking at these things and see how you put the pieces together.
Right.
Your Social Security, your investments, any pensions, and making sure you kind of have them sequenced out.
It's not something you can do and say, I'm going to do this in the fall. Boom, like that. It really just to make, it's something that can affect the rest of your life, what you're receiving, and that is a big, heavy decision.
For sure.
Yeah.
And there's a guy named Larry Kotlikoff, probably the #1 expert in Social Security. He estimates that the average American is missing out, the median, $182,000 over their lifetime.
Man, that's a lot of fun that you can use with that money, or that's upgrades to a home, or that's a vacation, or that's more time with the grandkids, or that's groceries. That's a lot of.
And it's from the government, so it's guaranteed.
You're owed that, definitely. Well, thank you so much. Very, very
Thank you
important
for having me.
questions there. To learn more, just visit richwealthradio.com or call 844-979-4359.